Welcome back to our second Sojourners video. It is great to be with you again. This morning, Janet and I are in Cades Cove in the Great Smoky Mountains. This is one of our favorite places in all of the world. In our first video, we talked about how the Sojourner mission came about, and let's go now to early 1978. Paul and Peggy Scott, along with their friends, the Halls, decided to have their first Sojourner workshop in Weslaco, Texas, at the Weslaco Church of Christ. And the workshop would continue to be held there for the next 17 years. So why have a workshop? Why to go to all the trouble of getting together and having such a big event? I think there's several reasons. First of all, it's an opportunity to talk about sojourns from the past year. What went well, what didn't go so well, what can we learn from them? Secondly, it's an opportunity to plan for sojourns for the coming year. One of my favorite days of the year is sitting in the lodge there at Camp B with a map out and a calendar out and all the boards set up in front of me and sitting next to Janet and just kind of thinking about and praying about what we want to do in the next year. Where do we want to go? What sojourns do we want to be a part of? That's a really special time. It's also an opportunity to fellowship. That may be one of the greatest reasons to get together for a workshop. You get to play hand and foot together. You get to go and have a nice Juicy's burger. You get to laugh and talk and discuss each other's medical ailments and get caught up on how things are going in your life. And that's an important reason for being there. It's also an opportunity to be equipped for our mission, to learn new skills, to learn new evangelistic techniques, to learn about RVing and all kinds of different things. That's an important reason to be together. And I think most importantly, it's an opportunity to worship God. What a beautiful thing to see sojourners gather together in one room, praising God and lifting up our voices. So our mission had our first workshop in 1978, and then in June of that year, the Conroe Church of Christ in Conroe, Texas, began sponsoring the Sojourners. 7 months later, in January of 1979, our name was adopted, National Evangelism with Sojourners. If you think about it, names are important. Names matter. It's interesting in the Bible how often names have significance. Abraham means the father of many, and he certainly was. Isaac means he will laugh, and you all are familiar with the story of Isaac and why that name is important. Well, our name is important. Our name matters. We are National Evangelism with Sojourners. It tells the world who we are and what we're about. We're not an organization, we're a mission, and a very special mission at that. So let's take a closer look at our name. It begins with national. That tells people where we go, all across the nation. Wherever there are needs, we're headed there. Secondly, it says evangelism. That tells people what our mission is, to share the gospel and to bring lost souls to Christ. As our mission grew in the late 1970s and 1980s, it expanded. Our customer base grew from small churches to Bible camps, children's homes, and Christian schools. And that was an important expansion that allowed us to reach more people and have a greater impact for the kingdom. Let me address one point that is sometimes confusing to our newcomers, to Green Dots. All of our sojourns are evangelistic. They may say physical on the sheet, and you may be doing a lot of painting and cleaning and repairing and building, a lot of physical activities, but you are doing that to achieve a spiritual end, to enable those entities to reach the lost with the gospel. So when you have a young camper, let's say a teenage girl that goes to a Christian camp, and she goes into a cabin that isn't leaking, and she's able to use a toilet that actually flushes, and she's able to be comfortable at night and not worried about her environment, that allows her and her fellow campers to concentrate and to have a good experience at camp. It's more likely that they're going to be able to listen to the things they hear about in their Bible classes, and it's much more likely that they're going to want to come back to that camp again. So the physical environment that we help create through our physical work is actually having a spiritual impact, and thus I consider all sojourns to be spiritual in nature. And oh, by the way, while you're painting or repairing or cleaning things, you can also have a spiritual impact on the people around you, on the people that work at that camp, maybe on the caretaker. If you're at a congregation, you can reach out to and try to encourage the preacher and his wife. And of course, you can also have a great impact on your fellow sojourners. So please don't say, I just do physical sojourns. If all you want to do is physical sojourns or physical work, then you might as well be a part of Habitat for Humanity. We are the Sojourner mission, and we're there to have a spiritual impact. And that brings us to the last part of our name, Sojourners. This tells people how we do it. Sojourns are, by definition, temporary stays. Thus, we're people who move from place to place, typically in RVs, to help those in need. For those of you who are in attendance today who are guests and may be considering joining the Sojourners, there may be some reluctance to leave your home congregation. You're probably two of the busiest workers that are there. Let me give you two thoughts on that. Number one, whether you're serving one congregation at one home congregation or traveling around the country to serve many different customers, it's all kingdom business. It's all needed. You can have an impact wherever you go. And secondly, even if you're traveling the country as a sojourner, you can still continue to support a home congregation financially and by visiting them periodically to encourage them, and perhaps even arranging to have a sojourn come to your home congregation and help out. Let me close this video with a quote about the Sojourners from one of our fellow sojourners, Arthur Leroy Pierce. Janet and I were so impressed with his words that we placed them at the beginning of our soon-to-be-released book about the Sojourners. Here's what Arthur had to say. May sojourners always remember that we are Christians first and especially when we wear the name tag and show the Sojourner decal on our RVs, that we are identified to the public as members of a special group. Let us hold the name high. May we hold that name high. See you next time.